January 21st, 2026. A Ukrainian FPV drone targeted a Russian soldier. The Russian soldier used a tree as cover to escape the drone, but he was still targeted by the drone. Many Russian soldiers in the same area tried to hide in forested areas, but they became targets of drones one by one. Although Russian soldiers desperately tried to escape the drones, none of them succeeded. You can see how FPV drone operators maneuver even in forested terrain. This truly requires a high level of expertise. Look at the soldier standing motionless. Thinking that standing still would prevent him from being detected by the drone, this soldier still failed to achieve this. So, is this standing still part of their training for drone attacks? If you look closely, you can see the soldier standing still. The soldier, who was trying to remain motionless in the trench to hide from the drones, was still detected. These Russian trenches have now become death zones. Look at the Russian soldiers under attack in the trenches. They are all in a truly desperate situation. In these attacks, the helplessness of Russian soldiers on the front lines against drones is clearly evident. Many Russian soldiers, wandering aimlessly along the thousands of kilometers of front line or walking alone towards Ukrainian positions, became targets of drones. These attacks, carried out in the Lyman and Sumy regions, killed more than 50 Russian soldiers in just 2 days. Russian soldiers struggling to advance in winter conditions are targeted only by drones without encountering any Ukrainian soldiers. But why do Russian forces persist with this tactical advance? Russian soldiers, targeted without firing a single shot, are trying to fight under conditions of insufficient ammunition and harsh conditions. Now watch the attack unfold carefully. A Russian soldier luckily manages to escape a drone attack, but multiple drones are pursuing the Russian soldier. The soldier starts firing his weapon, but he fails to hit the drones coming at him. Even though the Russian soldier fired repeatedly, he still couldn't make an accurate shot. Look at the soldier. He started walking as if he didn't care about the drones. The kamikaze drone had already taken off. The rapidly advancing drone gradually approached the Russian soldier. With nowhere left to run, the soldier finally became the drone's target. The next target of the Ukrainian FPV drone is a Russian soldier wandering alone in the Pokrovsk region. Unaware that he was being tracked by drones, the Russian soldier continued walking for a long time. He was seen making strange, unusual movements along the way. He left his bag and a lot of equipment on the ground and continued on his way. The fact that the Russian soldier even left his weapon behind shows how desperate his situation was. The next target of the Ukrainian FPV drone is a Russian soldier wandering alone in the Pokrovsk region. Unaware that he was being tracked by drones, the Russian soldier continued walking for a long time. He was seen making strange, unusual movements along the way. He left his bag and a lot of equipment on the ground and continued on his way. The fact that the Russian soldier even left his weapon behind shows how desperate his situation was. Russian soldiers now prefer very different hiding places. This is one of those places. An FPV drone is checking if there are Russian soldiers around the exploded armored vehicles. But why aren't Russian soldiers staying in the trenches anymore? Are Russian forces no longer building new trenches? A hidden Russian soldier was detected shortly after. The soldier targeted by the drone was in such a bad position that he didn't even have enough time to escape. The Russian soldier targeted in the next attack was spotted in the Donetsk region. This is an area used by Russian soldiers to store fuel in the Donetsk region. The Russian soldier realized he was being tracked by reconnaissance drones and immediately looked for a safe place to hide. However, there was nowhere to hide from the drone here. The FPV drone rapidly approached to attack. The Russian soldier chose a very poor hiding place. He hid in an area filled with fuel barrels. The drone carrying explosives entered the area where the Russian soldier was located and detonated. Two Russian soldiers were spotted by Ukrainian forces. The soldiers, who appeared to be in good condition, were followed for a while. The soldiers, who were followed to their hiding place, were immediately attacked. An FPV drone carrying high explosives was sent to the soldiers, who were seen hiding in the ruins. Many Russian soldiers attempting to take up positions in the ruins in the same area were also targeted by the same attacks. Russian soldiers, who have now abandoned their trenches and prefer this type of hiding place, believe these locations are safer. However, these attacks show that this is not possible. This Russian soldier was spotted carrying a strange bag, or sack-like object. Shortly thereafter, he was hit by a drone strike. By chance, the soldier survived the first attack and began to run, but he did not survive the second drone strike. A group of Russian soldiers was spotted advancing toward Ukrainian positions and came under attack from Ukrainian defenses. Two drones launched an attack and struck two groups. No one from the Russian assault unit managed to escape. Here, the first drone successfully targeted the soldiers. Now the second drone is targeting the other soldiers. Two Russian soldiers were walking in an open area along the road when they suddenly encountered a Ukrainian kamikaze drone. As the drone rapidly approached, the Russian soldiers didn't know what to do. Russian soldiers and military vehicles moving along a logistics route from the Donetsk region to the Pokrovsk region were ambushed by Ukrainian forces. The Russian soldiers ambushed on the road became targets for drones. Moreover, they took this risk despite knowing that this road was controlled by Ukrainian drones. The Russian forces' lack of planning is causing them to suffer heavy losses on the front lines. The Russian soldier abandoned his vehicle and immediately fled, but military vehicles always take priority. Therefore, the Russian military vehicle was targeted and destroyed. An experienced Ukrainian FPV drone pilot spotted a camouflage structure. He immediately began reconnaissance to determine what it was. It was a Russian artillery piece. The Signum Battalion managed to infiltrate artillery positions in the Donetsk region and began to neutralize them one by one. Weapons worth millions of dollars are being completely destroyed by $400 drones. This proves that these drones are the most critical weapon on the front lines. But why are Russian forces leaving this equipment so defenseless? Russian forces are not bringing their new weapons to the front because they suspect they will lose them too. What are your thoughts on this? We have stated that military vehicles are the priority for Ukrainian forces. You might think that soldiers should be the target, but this is purely a tactical situation. Vehicles are always an easier target, And without military vehicles on the front lines, soldiers are completely helpless and defenseless. Without transportation on the front lines, Russian soldiers are completely isolated and try to hold their positions with insufficient ammunition and even insufficient food. That is why vehicles are always priority targets to be destroyed. The logistical damage inflicted continues to leave Russian forces in a very difficult situation on the front lines. Russian forces' wheeled artillery guns were detected in the Donetsk region by Ukrainian reconnaissance drones, and drones carrying high explosives were immediately dispatched to attack each one. Drone operators are targeting the barrel section of these artillery guns. This is because it is extremely difficult to repair artillery guns that sustain damage in this area. Additionally, we would like to mention that your support, dear followers, by commenting on and liking our videos, gives us tremendous moral support. Although the Donetsk and Pokrovsk front lines appear to be at an impasse on the map, behind the scenes, fatigue is real. Russia relies heavily on its Soviet-era stockpiles, but the quality of its equipment is declining. On the other hand, Ukraine is investing everything in local innovation, producing millions of drones annually to compensate for its lack of manpower. It's like racing against time. Can technology overcome this stalemate before human losses become too high? The cost of this war is shifting from a battle for territory to a battle for survival. But please share your thoughts on the human factor in the comments. If vehicles can no longer survive on the modern battlefield, do you think we are returning to trench warfare where only infantry can defend? Or is the era of human soldiers coming to an end as drones take over the front lines?